Hey, welcome back, listeners. I'm your illustrious host. Welcome back to Unlabeled the podcast. I'm your illustrious host, Jerome Williams. I got my
Feel
good
it,
friend,
feel it.
Kendall Watson in the building this week. How you feeling, brother?
I'm doing good.
Doing good.
Um, Sunday. Happy
Sunday.
Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Yes. Well, it'll be Monday by the time y'all hear this
No, Monday. That's
podcast.
right.
Yeah, it'll be.
That's right.
But we
Sorry.
recording live right now, so happy Sunday.
Yeah.
And man, we gonna do this. We here for a short time, or I say a good time, not a long time today. It's gonna be a pretty short episode. But every so often, when a platform starts to grow, you have to. I like to do what's called resetting the room, and seeing as how our podcast is growing in listenership and subscribers. I decided to go ahead and reset the room. It's a term that I stole from Clubhouse. It's when Clubhouse, if y'all not familiar, is an audio platform. Most of y'all should be, unless you've been under the rock. Like I said, it's an audio platform where people come and they talk and they discuss different topics. And the more people that join the lobbies, they typically they'll every so often reset the room, and that's what I'm tending to do here because I don't want our listenership to lose sight of why we're here and what we're doing on this platform. So yeah, we're here to reset the and the reason y'all listening to Unlabeled is because there has been a historic how should I say this, Kendall? It's been a historic and throughout
Misrepresentation.
thank you, it's a historic misrepresentation of black men, and as of late, all men, but but really the historic ramifications of this is we've been marketed to America in a negative light. So we're here. The reason we created this platform is to I want to say negate or to counteract that propaganda, to show positive images of black people. Not exclusively, but the majority of our topics are black topics. So you have to be under a certain understanding when you're listening to our platform. So a couple words that we like to use on this platform is white people. we continually use that on this platform. But what we want you guys to understand is that when we say white people, we're not talking about Anglo-Saxons. We're talking about an ideology. And Webster pretty much describes white as a racialized classification of people, a skin color specifier generally used for people of European origin. We also know that this country does not just typically use that for people of European origin. You guys can go back all the way to the 1960s where they started classifying Asian Americans and Hispanic Americans as white. That's where we get this,
And some Native Americans.
yeah, that as well. So that's
in
where
some contexts.
so that's where we get this thing of the of white supremacy, right? Because when they start cannibalizing these other races, they start saying that they are the majority, which we know is a lie. They might be a majority in North America, but they're definitely a minority in the world. So there's more black and brown people throughout the diaspora, so to speak. Okay, so let me finish giving you guys this Webster definition of this is. In the U.S., this term has been expanded to encompass persons of Mexican, South Asian, West Asian, and North African descent. Persons who are often considered non-white in other contexts in the United States. It has also been alleged that in the United States, people of Southern European and even Irish descent have been excluded from this category. Although this idea has been contested, the uses of white people or a white race for a large group mainly exclusive to European population defined by their light skin, among other physical characteristics, and contrasting black, red, brown, yellow, and other colored people or persons of colors originated in the 17th century into the end of the 18th century. Europeans also describe people of East Asian descent as white. So they say that it ended in the 18th century, which we know is a lie. We still use the term white people and people and white race to this day, and same thing with black and African American and as well. And the significance of that is if you identify as a white person, you're sort of what we call the problem. So I think a lot of people because and this is why when we talk about privilege, why a lot of people don't understand, you're identifying with a social class that's not real. You understand what I'm saying, Kendall?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's like it's not real. So it's a set of privileges that come with that, and the only reason you get to identify
whiteness is not real.
Right, whiteness is not real, and the reason you get to identify as that class is because you're your skin color. I can't identify as a white person. I can't go in a sentence a census. I could, but I mean, honestly, look at me. I couldn't identify as a white person. So
why is that? I mean, you should be able to, right? Because
yeah.
we're in the world now where you can self-identify and be what you want. You can be asexual, you can be bisexual, you can be pansexual, you can be, So why can't I? If I want to be white, or excuse me, if Jerome wants to be a white man, damn it, why can't you?
Well,
because we know why.
Right, because the way
because of racism.
Right, because of racism. Right, and exactly the way I look.
And because you're a dark-skinned brother, and they're looking like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right,
How the hell can you be white?
Exactly. And so like I said, these things come with a certain level of privilege. So when I walk into a room, I'm easily identified as a black man.
Yep. Even myself, can I go in the room and be like, "Hey, I'm a white guy"?
No, not at all.
They're looking at me like, "You something?"
But you ain't white. Exactly. Skin's a little too brown.
Exactly.
Which goes back to this brown paper bag test that they used to do. If you were lighted in a brown paper bag, what was that test for? Saying that you can work in certain places and things of that nature. It could like date it back to slavery. I could be wrong.
I don't remember the
context
what it was called, but I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah.
But even our one of some of our guests, Austin, one of our guests, who's pretty much, he comes every now and again to our show. He's literally a man of, quote, mixed race or biracial. His dad was black, rest in peace, and his mother's white. She's Italian, I believe. I think that's what he told me. Can he walk in the room and say, and he's lighter than myself. You know what I'm saying? Can he walk in the room and be like, I'm a white man? No.
No, not at all.
they're automatic.
Not at all.
They're looking at him like, no, you're something, but you're not white.
You're not white, exactly. It's a certain swagger that he carries, and everything. So, like I say, we like to poke fun at Austin's race from time to time, but that's just us being toxic.
Yeah, but we know he's a black man.
Right. So
according to this country.
Right. So there's a few things that I want to point out from this book that I'm reading recently. It's called Brainwashed. It's by an author named Tom Burrell. He's worked in the marketing field for centuries, and so he wrote this book called Brainwashed, and he talks about the big lie, where it's a repeated, consistent articulation of a partial, distorted, and manufactured truth. And these are some of the things that date back to the colonial era that's been said about black men in this country. And here's the first section, and this started in the colonial era. Black slaves are subhuman beasts. In the Reconstruction era, emancipated blacks are still inferior to white. The Civil Rights era, blacks are angry, dangerous, and unemployable, and addicted to welfare. In the modern era, low-income blacks are innate failures responsible for their own moral and economic discipline. He also says that these things appeal to fear, the purposeful effort to instill apprehension and panic. And this is going back to the colonial era. Changing the status of black slaves will threaten the livelihood and destroy the American way of life. The Reconstruction era. Emancipated blacks will seek revenge and rape white women. In the Civil Rights era, blacks are revolutionary communists. They are moving too fast, wanting too much. Black power really means race war. In the modern era, low-income blacks are violent and prone to crime. They threaten property value and must be contained or incarcerated. And they also appeal.
Question.
Go ahead.
Is the Reconstruction era are they talking about around like the Civil War and stuff like that, or like around like after slavery?
The Reconstruction era is post-Civil War.
Post-Civil War. Okay.
Yeah, post-Civil War. Yeah.
So like a prime example of that, in terms of what you're talking about, how black men are marketed or black people, you remember the movie "Birth of a Nation," where
not the Nate Parker film.
Yeah, not the Nate Parker one, but the original one back in 19 1914, I think it
Give me one
was
second.
1914, 1960, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was by H.W. Griffith. I think that was the director. But anyway, it basically was about post after the Civil War. They basically made it seem as if once the North won, that everything was going wild. The blacks were now in politics. They had them like literally in the office, Oval Office. They had like their feet up on the desk. They were eating watermelon. Like this was in 1914 in a movie that was like the most popular at that time. It was actually
Mm-hmm.
the first blockbuster
So,
in America, and that went and that showcased worldwide. So
mm-hmm.
just to your point,
Yeah.
those stereotypes were even back then.
Right.
In terms of what you were reading. So.
Right. So no. So like I said, to Kendall's point,
And literally about the raping of the white women, that was actually in the movie where there was a black man in blackface. It was, of course, a white guy,
right,
who was actively trying to attack this white woman, and of course, the Ku Klux Klan came to save her. That was they actually glorified the Ku Klux Klan as if they were the heroes,
right,
and then they were the ones that restored order in the South.
Mm-hmm. So this film debuted in February 18th, 1915, not 1914.
1915, okay.
Yeah. And it was D.W. Griffith.
D.W. Griffith,
yeah,
okay,
who wrote the screenplay and
H.W.
and
I'm thinking about H.W. Bush.
So this film budget was $100,000 in 1915, and then went on to make $50 to $100 million in the box office. So just let you go that, and you hear the propaganda that Kendall was displaying, which was on display in this film, and it was a silence film that ran in 1950. And
it spoke volumes. If you watch the movie, you definitely will get get everything that they're trying to push. You know what I'm saying? And that's really and also the president at that time. What was his name? Man, he even gave a quote in the beginning of the movie. Ford? No, it wasn't Ford. It was okay. I'm gonna figure it out, or you can maybe look it up. You just maybe Google president during Birth of a Nation. But he actually showcased it in the White House. He premiered it in the White House and had people come. That's how revered the movie was.
Woodrow Wilson.
Mm-hmm. There it is. Yep.
So so back to this film Brainwash. I mean this book Brainwash.
Brandon was shown worldwide, by the way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good. Back to this book Brainwash by Tom Burrell. And the last thing I spoke on was the modern era as far as appealing to prejudice, where he says social and economic woes are attributed solely to irresponsible black parenting, crime coddling, communities, and sense of perceived victimization. Stereotyping, exaggerating established perceptions of physical or cultural traits, attaching negative attributes to an entire group. If you guys need the definition of that. And back to the colonial era, this is what was said about black people. Black slaves are uncivilized, childlike, and content with bondage. And during the Reconstruction era, emancipated blacks are buffoons, lazy, illiterate, and rapists. Civil rights eras, black are angry, impatient, and murderers. And in the modern era, low-income blacks are drug-addicted, criminals, oversexed, dependent on the government assistance, and irresponsible. These are all lies that we have heard several throughout the history of my life, as me being a 38-year-old black man. These are the continuous lies when I've seen beautiful people in our communities, fathers, mothers, brothers, mentors, businessmen, everything, and we continually hear these lies on Fox News, CNN, even from the liberal side, where they talk about how we vote in blocks as black people, and we don't have any ideas that aren't of our own, and we pretty much think as a monolith, and we know this is untrue. So we continue. This is the reason we created this platform. We talk about issues that are directly from our community. We're talking to a younger generation, not necessarily our peers. Our peers, I'm sorry to say, y'all can do what y'all want to. We ain't trying to convince y'all nothing. And I'm just keeping it in the book. But the youth, I feel like we have a responsibility, because we've lived a lot of life, and like I said, we are mentors in our community, and what we try to do is we try to each one teach one, and as we learn, y'all learn and grow with us on this platform, and eventually it's going to lead to some bigger and better things. But like I said,
we welcome critique. We welcome, you getting in the comments and saying, "Oh no, I disagree with that, and here's why." Like that's what we want. We like difference of opinion. Me and him, we'll disagree on the pod. You know what I'm saying? We tend to agree a lot of times, but yeah, there's times where that disagreement will happen amongst us. But like I said, that's what we actively want. We want to make sure that everybody has their say, especially in a platform like this. We're not the big guys speaking down on others. So.
Exactly. So, like I said, if you like I said, if you guys like our content, or if you don't like it, or if you, we get positive feedback all the time. So don't just think that because we're here today to kind of reset the room and kind of talk about these little nitpicks that. We're not getting positive critiques. We know you guys rock with us, but that's why we wanted to come in here and do this today. Well, it was on my heart to come in here and do this today. I really didn't get a chance to speak to Kendall about this, but yeah, just moving forward, man. We just wanted to set a few things straight because, like I said, we continually hear these negative stereotypes and things even till today, and it's so sad that in the information era that we're continuing to hear these things, and it's a lot of platforms out here like ours who are trying to show the world and our community that, hey, it's a better way. We can do things differently, and we can show the positive aspect. Because for the longest time, we've been seen being smart was unsexy. It wasn't cool. You know what I mean? And now it was all about hip hop and bling and a bunch of other bull crap. You know what I mean? And that doesn't a bunch of stuff that doesn't mean anything. So. That's why we're here today. That's why we want to just kind of clear the air on a few things, so y'all can see that, because it's so crazy. And I know I'm stammering a little bit now because I'm getting a little irritated, and I'm trying to keep my energy levels low so I can convey this information to y'all. But every time I tell somebody that I have a podcast, the first thing they ask me is, "Y'all talk about sports?" I mean, black men, white women, like, fam, what? Like, this is what y'all think we do? Y'all think we specifically talk about sports and that's all we concerned about? Like, you know what I mean? And then it's unfortunate when people see that my platform is based on something else, and they'll hear us speak, and their eyes glaze over it, and I've actually had people say, "Man, when y'all gonna talk about sports?" Fam, it's enough of that. You got a whole network. There's other podcasts that do it better than us. Like, we're sports fans, but that's not.
Yeah. We're not commentators.
We're not commentators, and we got so much more to offer the world than just that. Feel me? So
yes,
I hope that.
And there's nothing wrong with people that talk about sports mostly in their podcast, because that's probably their
niche.
Their niche or their topic, what they want to talk about, and that's fine. We like to expand it a little bit. There's actually a podcast that I want to just shout out. It's called 94 Feet Podcast, 94 FT Podcast. Check them out. They talk about sports all day, actually. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they discuss other things, but the talk is mostly about the NBA. So definitely check them out. And like I said, they're always potting. So, but yeah, that's just not necessarily our thing. We don't want to just talk about sports. We want to expand, where we're going to go with it. And sometimes our sports topics are just like hot takes. It's like real quick, and we usually talking about our teams that we love, and then we go from there. And we actually just talk about what the real topics that we want to, cover. So
yeah. And and to the ladies, we definitely going to have some stimulating content for y'all moving forward. Actually, the next podcast, I think I'll surprise y'all. But we definitely want to get to the bottom of why black women feel unprotected in this country. We're gonna have some very special guests on, and it should be a pretty interesting conversation for y'all. But yeah, yes. I just wanted to clear the air on that. And like I said, if y'all, we welcome feedback. We got a whole comment section on YouTube. We broadcast live so we can interact. Shout out to everybody who comes here weekly and listens to us run our mouths. Shout out to Keith Moss. Appreciate you, brother, every week. I actually going to need some information from you because I want to send you a package, bro, because you've been a long time supporter of our podcast. Shout out to Giovanna. I know you listen weekly. Shout out to Tristan, some of our supporters, Justin, Avtan. Shout out to all y'all, man. We definitely appreciate y'all being loyal listeners to our podcast. Ken, you got anybody you want to give a shout out to that too?
Yeah, I was gonna say Afton, but you already threw her out there.
Oh yeah, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. Also, LaQuandra, appreciate you as well.
Yes.
And all our new subscribers, man. If I miss anybody, we'll get into more shout outs throughout this week. But yeah, just wanted to clear the air on that as our podcast grows, man. And if I like I said, if I wasn't clear about when we say white people on this podcast, I want y'all to be very understanding of that. If you subscribe to that white ideology, that you're a white American, and you don't stand for something bigger, or if you even if you're a liberal white American, if you don't correct certain things that you see or don't build a community around some of the things that you disagree with in your communities that you're from, you're not helping us at all. So bye. Like straight up. Like I'll keep it a buck, man. So like I said, we know who our target audience is on the show, and we're not course correcting or doing any of that. We're gonna keep on pushing forward and keep with our messaging. So Ken, I don't know if you got anything else you want to piggyback off of that.
Nope. Well said.
All right, man. But yeah, that's our episode for this week. I told you we was here for a short time, for a good time, not a long time. So, but we got some planned for y'all for every day for the month of February. So make sure y'all tune in. It's gonna be mostly on the audio side. We're not gonna broadcast our Black History bits live on YouTube. So yeah, be on the lookout on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for something special for every day for the month of February. And we will see y'all next week with another episode, with a full and another episode of Unlabeled Podcast. Peace.
Holla.